Okay, so this is our second day working on the basement bedroom conversion here. This used to be a garage. I think I told you that in episode 1. We can tell it used to be a garage because you can see the concrete line here where they added this little section of footing. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to add a couple of electrical outlets. So we are going to go from this box and run a wire through the wall. We have our holes are already drilled here, 5/8 holes. We're just running one wire, so we don't need a large hole. But we're going to run a outlet over here, about 4 feet in on this side and 4 feet in on that side. That'll put about 6 feet between, and that'll give power along that wall. So as you can see, we have framed, studded the wall here against the concrete. Looking at the concrete, we don't need any special work for moisture control because the outside of the wall already has a good vapor barrier on it, and as you can see, there are no cracks in this wall, and in 50 years there is no evidence of any water having ever penetrated into the wall. So what we're going to do is add these two outlets, and then we're going to put the R13 insulation up, and we will be ready to start sheetrocking everything. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, we are going to start with putting two new single gang plastic boxes on the walls along here, and we are going to put them at the same height as these outlets. So let's pull the cover off of this one here, and what we're going to do is measure where the top screw hole in the outlet box is, and that will be the height of these. So what we're going to do is measure from the ground up to here, which is 15 1/2 inches, and that is where we are going to put our new outlets. And we're going to put them roughly 4 feet in. So here's 4 feet, so I'll just put them on this side of the wall here. So here is 15 1/2. See, the outlet boxes have these two guides on it, and you put those on the side of the stud, and they stop you at what the proper depth is. And so the hole is a little lower than the outside of the box, so we just have the box, we're going for level with the hole to keep things all the same. Okay. Okay. That is the first box. Now let's go over here and get the second box. And we are going to again measure in 4 feet from the end of the wall. Okay, so here's 4 feet, so we'll put the box on this side let us measure up 15.5 inches from the floor. And remember, these are the two depth gauges that are molded into the box. They set the box the proper depth for sheetrock. No guesswork. Okay. Okay, and there you go. Now we are going to run our wire between the boxes. 12 gauge, 20 amp wire. So I already drilled these holes yesterday. So just pull enough wire all the way over to the source, the box that we're going to tap into. Okay. So there, we have enough wire for this. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Now we're going to pull some additional wire through here. And that will be enough. When you are working with wire, make sure you have the power off. This is new stuff, it's not connected, so we're not worried about this. Try to get yourself about 6 inches of wire. Okay, then you can strip off your shielding on the wire. I just use my utility knife and lightly cut. You don't want to cut deep and into the wire jacket. All you want to do is cut the outside. And you know what? I'm going to pull 6 more inches through on this. Okay, that'll do that. And that'll show you why. So with some paper in there, you just remove that. Here is a green ground wire nut. And what's nice about these is, okay, let's put the wires up. And we can put the wire nut onto the wire. Come on, get down there. You see how the wire goes through a hole in the end of the wire nut. Actually, I'm not quite right. I want to twist these together a little bit first. Okay, now turn down the wire nut. Okay. So now we have our ground is tied off, and what we're going to do here now is I'm going to take a couple of pieces of the wire jacket and snip them off about 1 inch long, and I'm going to stick them onto the wire staples. And that gives us an insulated wire staple. So we're going to nail these two wires down together flat. You can do these flat like this, and that's okay. You don't want to nail them on edge though. That's not okay. And you don't need to hammer them down hard. You just want to get them snug. And there you go. Okay, now I'm going to cut these. And so remember, we had that other wire pulled through extra long so that we could put a green wire nut on the ground. These are a pretty handy little wire snipper. These ones are made by Klein. There's also Ideal brand makes them. Very handy. Okay, so let's get the rest of these all stripped off. About a 3/4 of an inch or so is what I strip on these. Okay. Okay, so we have the hot wires, which are black, and the neutral wires, which are white. And we're going to tie all three of these together. We have the wire coming in and out, and then we are putting a jumper, tying that in with the other two. So 3 wires tied together total. And see, I like to do this because if you are ever servicing the outlet or anything, it will not break the circuit down the line, because some people will take the 2 wires that we have in the box and just connect them 1 2 1 2 in the back of the outlet. Then if you ever have to change the outlet, then you disconnect the rest of the circuit. So if you have these wires all tied together and then you bring 1 wire into the outlet, the circuit is always live down the line. Okay, so let's put these in here now. Straighten out the wire a little bit. And we need to, for the ground, we are going to turn the wire a little bit, put a loop on the end, and put that into the ground screw. Okay. And let's tighten that up. Okay, so we have silver screws on the neutral side, brass screws on the hot side. You can also tell the hot side because it has, oh, that's, I didn't want this outlet, that's a 20 amp outlet. I have two other outlets that I was going to use. Okay. Okay, see, this is a 20 amp outlet. It has a side inlet on the neutral plug side. And this is a 15 amp outlet, which just has a straight slot. Okay. There's no problem with using the 20 amp outlet because it is a 12 gauge 20 amp circuit. It would just be different from all the other outlets in the room. Okay, now put the ground back on. And the same applies here. We have the silver screw is the neutral side, brass screw is the hot side, but also the small slot, short slot is the hot, the long slot is the neutral. Okay, so let's put the neutral wire in there. These ones here have clamps built into them. And so you put the wire in the hole, tighten the screw, and it clamps together. It's a much better outlet than the cheaper versions. And I'll just tighten that other screw down. Okay, and we'll put the hot wire in its slot. And when you put these wires in, you want to put them in so that the wire is not exposed beyond the back of the outlet. You want to have it shielded in a protected area there. Okay, and so that's that. We're just going to bend the wire down and up a little bit. Push our outlet into place. Kind of pre-position it where we want it, and then screw it in. Okay, so that is the first outlet. Okay, so we are going to put our wire in the box. Okay, we've got a piece of wire insulation on our wire staple, and that's really not totally required. It's just optional for good measure. And let's kind of a clumsy angle for me. All right, let's get this in. Okay. And I like to put two staples next to the box just because it limits the motion a wire can have. Okay, so we have that. Now we'll strip the insulation off the wire, and this side here is a simple side, it's just a single wire, so we just strip it and put it right onto the outlet. And we'll curl the end of the ground, put a little loop on it. There's our loop, and then we'll just tighten up the loop. Grab our screwdriver, tighten down the green screw. Okay. White wire goes on this side. Tighten that up. And we'll just tighten in this one here. Okay, now let's do the hot wire. Goes in to the clamp area, tighten down the screw, tighten up the upper one, and that outlet is a ramp. Now we have our two new outlets are installed, but now we have to connect them up to the existing outlet to get power to them. So this is where you want to make sure you turn off the power. Okay, let me pause you for a minute while I go and locate the breaker box. Okay, so we have found the breaker, and unfortunately the breaker also shuts off the room lights. But I think there's enough light in here to see what's going. And the way we did it is, the way we found the breaker is we just plugged in the radio and then we shut off outlets or breakers. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Did I turn off something on you?
No, I was just coming down to make sure he wasn't in your way. He snuck through the little barrier.
Oh, well, yeah, he is now. Let's say hi to the 90-pound Labrador.
Bodie, let's go get a treat.
Okay, you slimed my lens.
Come on, Bodie, get over here. Come on. Now he'll be out of your way.
Okay, oh, did you say food?
Exactly.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right, so now that our dog break is over, we will take apart this outlet cover plate and get the new wire in there. Let's see what we get. Oh, come on, get off of there. Oh, don't tell me you're gonna strip on me. Oh, you're kidding. You are not gonna go difficult on me, are you? Alright, got this one off. Now the other one is gonna fight. Try that again. Oh, crumb. Alright, we'll have to do that the hard way. Get out. Almost. There we go. All right, now, so you can see here that that is an older style outlet with push-in connectors on the back of it. So we're going to just lose this outlet and put in a new, nicer one. Okay, look at the back here. You can see that the ground wire screw is loose and turning. It's probably making a good enough connection, but it's not the desired way for it to be. Alright, so let's see if these twist out of there. Yeah, they're coming out. Okay. Yeah, those push-in outlets were popular for a while, but the push-in type of connectors aren't really the best connector you could use. I like the clamp style that we are using, the pro grade outlets, because you know they're working. It's a good solid connection that's not going to come loose. Run our wire down into the box. All right, let us trim our wire here. Get the yellow jacket off. And be careful when you are doing that. You don't want to cut into the wires inside. You just want to cut the jacket. And you also don't want your knife to slip and cut you. Okay, let's peel off the paper. Okay, I'm gonna route that new ground wire over here with the rest of them. I'm going to use this 20 amp outlet in this location because I didn't expect to have to replace this one, and I'm not going back to the store to get another one. Okay, so let's get this set up here. I'm just going to kind of wrap that in with the others. We have the green wire nut, and we ran the new wire in through it long, and that will take care of that. And so we do want to get these ground wires routed upward here so that I can get the ground wire down here where it wants to be, where I need it. Okay, still want that a little bit more. There we go. Then we need to tie these wires all together now. So the hots will tie together with the hots, and the neutrals will tie together with the neutrals. And we are going to add a jumper wire to go from all the wires tied together to the outlet. Okay, so let's trim this off. Let me grab a couple wire nuts and a piece of wire. So I just grabbed about a 7-inch piece of wire and push the wires through so I can pull them out over here. And then I strip off 3/4 of an inch and 3/4 of an inch. The new wire in the box, 3/4 of an inch. And the neutral wire, 3/4 of an inch. And I want to straighten these out a little bit so they tie together more nicely. A little bit more here. Okay, so let's get these all tied together here. Grab the white wire and the neutral wires, group them together. Okay, they're all the same length in there. Put our large red wire nut on there and tie them together. Okay, so there are the neutral wires all tied together. Let's get the hot wires, the black wires all tied together. Make sure that you tie this together with all of these wires positioned at the same length so that they tie together nicely. Okay, so we can now put the, well, you know what, actually, just pull this because this clamp is no longer needed and we can use the space inside the box. Okay, there, so we do not need that box. Get our white wire in here. And let's get our black wire in there. Okay. Now we can bring our wires up into where the cover is. Okay, let's tighten the cover down. Actually, that's not the cover, that is the mud ring. strip at 3/4 of an inch here. And 3/4 here. And we'll put a loop in the ground. Okay, tighten up the loop on the ground here now. Okay. And tighten down the ground screw. Okay. Let's connect our neutral wire. That goes into the clamp hole back there. And let's tighten that on down. And then I'll just tighten up the other screw. Okay. Now we'll put in the hot wire. Remember, the hot wire goes on the side with the short slot. And the brass screw. Neutral wire goes on where the silver screw is. And it's also labeled on the outlet, line and load, or hot and neutral, black or white. Okay, so we are connected. Okay. And that is how you add an outlet, and in this case, 2 outlets on the wall. So all I have to do now is staple that wire on. Okay, so there, we are done. A quick review. We needed to add 2 outlets on this wall. So we have outlet 1 and outlet 2, and we ran a wire along the wall between those 2 outlets and along the wall into the existing wall to this outlet here where we sourced our power from. So let us walk over here and test the result. Here's the breaker panel, square D, QO. Oops. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Turn on the breaker. And as you can see, the lights are back on. And let's take our high-tech electrical testing device. And plug this analyzer in to see if there is power here. And there you go. You can see that we have power. Okay, so that concludes how to add a couple of outlets to an existing circuit in a new wall in a new basement bedroom that has been unfinished for nearly 50 years, since the mid-1970s. Okay, so next step we're going to do here is we're going to put insulation up. And that is the insulation. So I am going to cut out here and start doing the insulation. Not much of a point in doing insulation. It's pretty low tech and low information. I think pretty much anyone can do it. Okay, thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next video where we are probably going to start doing wallboard in here. So tune back in and watch how to turn an unused basement storage room into a bedroom. Alright, see you on the next video, and don't forget to subscribe.